This tutorial is for Diver 2 and it describes how you fill in your underwater dive slate. You've probably seen these dive slates and know that the first part of the dive slate are the same for both Diver 1 and Diver 2, just getting some basic information. The date of the dive, the start time of the dive, the names of the divers, and if there's a number of you doing surveys, you need to agree beforehand what direction you're actually going to be swimming on the dive. There's also some reminders here in terms of who does what and when. Estimating underwater visibility, there's a tutorial on that, so a figure would go in here and you'd use your dive computer more than likely to work out what the sea temperature is. Moving on to the dive itself. So Diver 1 is going to be following, Diver 2 is going to be following behind Diver 1, and they're going to be working on or close to the seabed. The first thing you do is at the start of the dive, where you're going to record the depth. So perhaps a depth here of 6.2 meters, and you're also going to describe the seabed. So rather than write mud, you might just use the first letter, or for boulders you might just use the first two letters. Just saves you writing underwater. From the beginning of the dive to the first 10 meters, the 10-meter mark on the tape measure, you're going to count the number of kinner using your meter stick to help you. So perhaps you count a total of 32 kinner. At that 10-meter mark, you're also going to be writing down the depth, and you've got a description of the seabed. So you basically put pen to paper 3 times at each of those 10-meter marks. So from 10 to 20 meters, you're going to be counting the kinner again, recording the kinner, the depth, and the seabed. The next portion of the dive concentrates on crayfish or lobsters. Again, you're going to be doing this with your buddy, either side of the tape measure. If we concentrate for a moment on the tiny babies, they can be quite gregarious. You tend to find them in groups, so it's quite possible you might find 13 in a group, then there's perhaps 4, then you see 2, and then there's 6. At the end of the dive, this could be potentially quite confusing, so if you see 13, just put a ring around it. Say you've seen 13, then a group of 4, and then a group of 2 rather than 26. So you get the idea there. It's also fine just to do tally marks as you work through your dive. Every time you see a lobster of a particular size category, you just make a mark in the correct column. Moving on next to seaweeds. Again, there's a tutorial on seaweeds. So in the 10-meter stretch, you might describe that stretch as a clonia forest. So we've got a clonia forest. We're giving you some information in terms of how you count the number of stems in a meter squared. So you might get 30 stems, and then you've got the heights of those stems. So those are heights in centimeters. So you'll record some results in like so. The final part of the dive is perhaps taking some underwater video footage or some photographs. So if you do that, a little reminder to yourself that you've done so, and you can upload the best of your footage onto the website along with the transect. So that would record your experience for the day. So that's how to complete your underwater survey form.